Second.
Been moved by Swearingen, seconded by Canale. Do we have any unfinished business on the March 2nd agenda? Hearing none, that council meeting is hereby adjourned without objection. Sergeant Arms, please call our 16th 2021 council meeting to order.
Oh, yes. This honorable council of the city of Memphis is hereby called to order for the transaction of business.
I would like to recognize our chaplain for the day, Pastor Steve Young of Ardmore Terrace Baptist Church, who is invited by Councilman Canale. Father Bradshaw, please lead us in prayer. I'm sorry, Father Young.
Okay.
Pastor Young.
Thank you. Not a problem at all. Thank you. May we pray. Oh, Lord, our Lord, how excellent is your name in all the earth. We bow before your presence. We come to you this afternoon as humble as we know how, acknowledging that you are the Alpha and the Omega. You are the first and the last. You are the beginning and the end. Everything that is was made by you and for you. And without you, nothing was made that was made. You are God. With this in mind, dear Father, we are reminded that you are the originator of human government, legislative order, legislative law, and justice. We recognize the fearsome responsibility showed by these, your ministers in the earth, these appointed men and women who make up this august body. We affirm that they are here in service by your decree and your sovereign will. For we bear witness according to your holy word that states, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. Powers that be are ordained of God. So, Father, in light of this, we ask you to bless these, your servants and your ministers. Bless them with wisdom and knowledge. Bless them with insight and understanding and discernment. May these, your legislators, be emboldened to stand for right, truth, and justice. May they bring by their legislation joy to the righteous and strike terror to the evildoers. May they, by their good laws, convict the guilty and protect the innocent. May they, by their just ordinances, overthrow the wicked and strengthen the decent. And when it's all over from this deliberative body, may justice roll down like a river and righteousness like a never-failing stream. Sin is reproach to any people, but righteousness exalts a nation, a state, and a city. And after this council joyfully and faithfully discharge their duty, may they do it without bribe, without deceit, without inducement, without an unbalanced scale, far from evil and temptation. May they hear, O Lord, well done, servant, well done. We ask these blessings in the powerful, perfect, preeminent, and prodigious name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Councilman Canale, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, it's my distinct honor to introduce you to Pastor Steve Young, our chaplain for the day. He's the pastor of Ardmore Terrace Baptist Church. He's a dear friend of mine and a spiritual mentor. Pastor, thank you for praying for us and with us today. He's been a very gifted asset to our community. In fact, Pastor Young experienced a health setback, and he is a living testament to the power of prayer and what God's will can do. And he is back healthy again, proclaiming God's good word, doing great work for his members of Ardmore Terrace and for the people of Memphis. So without further ado, be it hereby known that Pastor Steve Young, in recognition of a life, exemplary qualities, outstanding service to the city, meritorious involvement in humanitarian affairs, and demonstrated concern for governmental process, has been appointed chaplain of the day of the Memphis City Council and is hereby entitled to all of the honors, rights, privileges, and prerogatives appertaining to the office and to the display of this certificate given under seal the 16th day of March 2021, signed by Chairman Frank Colvett, presented by myself. Thank you so much, Pastor Young. God bless you. Godspeed. Keep doing the great work you're doing.
Thank you for the opportunity. I count it as signal honor. Thank you.
Pastor Young, thank you for your prayers. If I may, Mr. Chairman, Pastor Young and I and his wife, we all attended Central High School at the same time, and his smart daughter is a Howard Bison, so he's all right. But thank you for those kind words, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Pastor. All right. Councilman Warren, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. Madam Comptroller, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Canali,
Here.
Carlisle,
Present.
Easter Thomas,
Present.
Ford,
Present.
Johnson,
Present.
Jones,
Here.
Logan,
Present.
Morgan,
Here.
Robinson,
Present.
Smiley,
I'm here.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Present.
Warren,
Present.
Chairman Colvett.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Comptroller. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, have you read the meeting minutes for March 2nd?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have read the minutes and find them to be in order. And I move for the adoption of the March 2nd meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you very much. Get a second.
Second, Carlisle.
All right, been moved by Swearingen, seconded by Carlisle. Seeing nobody in the queue, please, Madam Comptroller, conduct a roll call for our March 2nd meeting minutes.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Aye, that item passes. Welcome to the March 16th, 2021 regular meeting of the Memphis City Council, which is conducted electronically pursuant to the notice due to the COVID-19 emergency. Without objection, the notice of the meeting will be included in the minutes of this meeting. A notice of meeting was placed on the City Council webpage regarding how the public may electronically access the meeting and or a recording of the meeting, and how to provide written comments concerning any agenda item or any other matter prior to this meeting. Public comments were to be submitted to the Memphis City Council 24 hours prior to today's meeting. Vice Chairwoman Swearingen will read those comments at the appropriate time. She will only read those comments that included the requisite information, which was the person's name and address. Incomplete comments or those received late will be sent to council records or placed on file. Unless somebody knows differently, there are no items to be held at this meeting, which has got to be a first since I've been here. Add-ons will be items 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41. Madam Comptroller, let's call first item 1.
Item number 1 is a resolution approving a planned development located at 786 East Brookhaven Circle, containing plus or minus 11,674 square feet in the commercial mixed-use district. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is PD 21-02.
Thank you very much. Councilman Canale, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ashley, is the applicant Jonathan Auer on the line?
We have Mr. Jason Jackson on the line.
Okay, colleagues, there is no opposition to this case. We did not hear this in committee and sent this down with no recommendation. However, Administrator Whitehead is on the line and is available for a presentation and questions. With that, Mr. Chairman, I move it to the floor.
Second.
Seconded by Warren. Does any member wish a presentation? Councilman Jones wishes a presentation. Administrator Whitehead, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Josh Whitehead, Zoning Administrator with the Division of Planning and Development. As I explain this project, at the end, I'll explain why it's before you, and I'm going to try to do that with each case as we go forward, just to kind of give the body a quick zoning 101 as it pertains to this case. This case is at the location of the old Windjammer Bar and Grill on Brookhaven Circle, specifically at 786 Brookhaven. The request is for a six townhouse unit development, a residential development there on East Brookhaven. The property has already been, the old bar has already been demolished. The photograph on the left shows it in its state currently, and the photograph on the right is looking towards Poplar Avenue. That's an Autographics location to its right and a Marciano's Italian restaurant to its left. Here's the outline plan that is in your resolution, that is the basic layout that the body will be reviewing and approving potentially this afternoon. Again, it's 6 lots. The 6 lots face inward to an interior drive. As we reviewed this, we first looked at our Memphis 3.0 plan. It is highlighted in dark orange on our land use map. That means anchor neighborhood, mix of building types, and an attached housing or attached single family housing development is one of the permitted uses in that future land use type. Here is a conceptual drawing of what the building would look like. They are going to be 4 stories, including the rooftop deck, a thing that's popular in that other large city in Tennessee. Why is this before you, Mr. Chairman? The plat of this parcel is recorded with the Register of Deeds. So this is a re-subdivision of an existing lot. This lot was approved by the Planning Commission in 1950. So that's one reason it would go to the Land Use Control Board. Reason number 2 is the setback. If you notice on my outline plan, they're requesting a 20-foot setback, which is a reduction of the platted 35-foot setback. And finally, number 3, this is what elevates it from what would have been a subdivision to a planned development, is they require a variance to allow these garages to face that interior drive. So that is basically why this required a planned development. Otherwise, the use is permitted in this zoning district. And with that, Mr. Chairman, this comes to you with a double recommendation of approval, both from staff and the Land Use Control Board.
Thank you, Administrator Whitehead. Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Are there any other actual homes and people living on Brookhaven Circle, or will this be the first residence there in a while?
What is new is old, I guess. I believe there may be one house remaining that is actually used as a dwelling on Brookhaven. So I guess as a little history for everyone, Brookhaven is one of the unique circumstances in which a once residential subdivision completely became commercialized and now is becoming more mixed use with the introduction of this application. So Mr. Councilman, I think there's one existing dwelling on the circle.
I think this is a good example of Memphis 3.0 and how it can work to the benefit of the city as far as taxes are concerned. Looks like a good concept to me.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Warren. Seeing no other members in the queue, nobody waving at me seeking recognition. I see we're ready to vote on item 1, moved by Councilman Canale, seconded by Councilman Warren. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen, Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Aye, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, call item.
Swearingen, aye.
Thank you, Vice Chairwoman Swearingen. I have you noted.
Comptroller, go with item 2.
Item number 2 is a resolution approving a special use permit located at 578 Harold Street containing approximately 0.13 acres in the commercial mixed-use districts. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is SUP 20-15.
Councilman Canale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item was not heard in committee and did not receive a presentation or a recommendation. Ms. Hayes, is the applicant or a representative of the applicant on the line?
Yes, Ms. Bowen is on the line.
All right, and with that, Mr. Chairman, I move it to the floor.
Second.
Moved by Canale, seconded by Warren. Does any member wish presentation? Seeing none.
Yep.
I'm sorry?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like a presentation.
Presentation been requested. Administrator Whitehead, you have the ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Whitehead again. This is a request for a transitional home just north of Broad Avenue between Broad and Summer along the east side of Harrell. If you're familiar with the old Lester School, it's in the blocks near that one street to the west. Here's an aerial. This is important as we go forward in our discussion because on the west side of Harrell are largely single-family homes, but on the east side of Harrell, particularly abutting the two sides of this site, trimmed in yellow here, are two places of worship, and that's important as I'll discuss in a moment. Our land use map, yellow again, on the west side of Harrell is indicated or indicates single-family housing. Blue indicates institutional uses, and you see at the very bottom of the site, probably the biggest landmark in the area is First Baptist Broad, and that's the church just on the south side of Broad. Here's an image of the structure to be used as a transitional home. According to the application, this would be a home for veterans as well as people transitioning from homelessness to a more permanent level of housing. As we looked at this, Mr. Chairman, and looked at the 3.0 plan, staff felt that this was inconsistent given the proximity of single-family homes, particularly on the west side of the street. The Land Use Control Board, however, looked at the more immediate area and the places of worship that flank either side of this. So, Mr. Chairman, this comes to you with a split recommendation, rejection from staff and approval from the Land Use Control Board. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Administrator Whitehead. I see no members in the queue, nobody seeking recognition. Councilman Carlisle? No.
Thank you, Chair. Josh, what was the vote count from the Land Use Control Board?
I believe it was unanimous, but I will, next time I have the floor, I'll give you a definite answer.
And there was no opposition to this case from neighbors?
There was one neighbor who spoke in opposition, who resided in one of the houses on the west side of Harrell.
Okay. All right, I yield back. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Councilman Warren.
We have the applicant on the phone to give us a presentation or talk.
I believe we do. Applicant, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Charlene Bowen here for the Purpose Plate, sir.
Super. May I have your address for the record and tell us a little bit about your project?
Address is 1912 Essex Briar Code 38016. So my project was a vision ignited. The church has always been, for the last 115 years, a beacon of hope in the middle of Binghamton. And this church has been very spiritual in my, very instrumental in my spiritual growth. And my father was a veteran, and I've always had a very special place in my heart for veterans. So when the church decided to restore the building that was originally built as a care home, I saw an opportunity for the vision that I had to be able to do something for people who have gave up so much for us. They have gone and fight for our freedoms. And I wanted them to come back to a place where they wouldn't have to worry about where they would land their head, how to move forward. They could take time to do that coming from such a regimented lifestyle. So this is how this came into play. And I have personally been vested in this opportunity and saw it as a way to not only live out my vision, but also combine with the vision that the church has had in this community for over 115 years.
All right. Thank you very much. Councilman Warren, you still have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to hear about what they were planning and what is your financial support for this, and what sort of, how many employees will you need? How will this work?
So initially, we are seeking people that basically can take care of themselves. We're not a nursing home. We're not a psychiatric ward or anything. These are just citizens who basically are down on their luck, but they need to be inside of a program where people can help guide them. We will have programs around financial responsibility. We will also have programs to help find employment if need be. As I said, I am right now backing this particular project financially, but we also are seeking other financial resources as well as in lieu of grants and different things like that.
Anything else you think we should know as it relates to your program?
I think my program is something that our city needs. And I know that it's something that's needed worldwide. I don't pick up an article every week without reading about how our veterans have been displaced or are in need of some support. And I found it just a great opportunity for us as a city to give back. I am a native to Memphis. I grew up in South Memphis. I have lived in Memphis all of my life, and this is something that I want to do for my city. I want to help someone, and I found this just a great opportunity to do just that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Councilwoman Johnson, you have a question for Administrator Whitehead?
Yes, I do. How many veterans do you believe that you'll be able to assist in the facility?
So we can assist up to 18 veterans in a 2-year period. They cannot reside here more than 2 years. And that's in a shared space. If they want a personal space, that is something that we would have to run through the board and talk about.
Okay, when you said the board, which board do you have reference to?
My board of directors is comprised of social workers as well as a nurse. And we also have 2 open seats that we would like to fill with people, leaders from the actual community to help with the vetting process as well as the selection.
Which veteran office have you communicated with in setting this arrangement up?
As of this time, I was told I could not communicate with anyone about this program because I have not been given the authority to give a permit, ma'am.
So this is strictly a proposal. You have no type of arrangement or understanding with the VA operation that if you were granted this facility special use permit, that they would assist you?
Not directly from the VA, no.
Okay, if they, I'm just questioning, for some reason you cannot get the veteran participation, then what would you use the facility for?
So it will still be a transitional home for people who are experiencing homelessness, trying to get back on their feet. That's why I named it the Purpose Place, because if one group is not needed, then we could always be a service to whatever group is needed out there. And we will do our due diligence to ensure that it's a group that would not be a threat to the community, but people who are just like veterans or even non-violent returning citizens or people who have dealt with domestic abuse. This facility originally was built and dealt with people who were recovering from AIDS, who had dealt with drug and substance abuse. This is what it was used for originally.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, ma'am, for your information.
Councilman Carlisle, question for the administrator or the applicant?
Just more of a comment. These are always really interesting cases that come before the body. I think I would be hypocritical to some degree if I didn't support this. I've just had so many conversations with people like Rashawn Austin and Paul Young about how we as a city can get people from homelessness to permanent housing, and a significant step is transitional housing. And we have somebody that is at least willing and able to explore that. And a part of that is just getting them the zoning before they have to look at some other options. They're positioned next to Christ Community, First Baptist on Broad. I mean, there are significant services that are in and around this facility that could actually help people get the wraparound services they need. And so I think for me, I'm willing to step out on a limb here and put my money where my mouth is and say, look, let's support homelessness, and part of that is transitional housing. So I'm going to vote in favor of this. And ma'am, I wish you all the best. I hope you're successful in your endeavor and changing the lives of people. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Ms. Brown.
It's Mrs. Bowen, sir. I'm sorry. I think they typed it wrong on the.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bowen. I completely support your project here, and let me say my hat's off to you for wanting to help your fellow man and woman get back on their feet and hopefully into permanent housing. So God bless you, and I wish you all the best. Mr. Chairman, there's no one else in the queue. I turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Canale. It's moved by Canale, seconded by Warren. Seeing no other members in the queue are seeking recognition, I assume you're ready to vote on item 2. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale?
Yes.
Carlisle?
Yes.
Easter Thomas?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Jones?
No.
Logan?
Aye.
Morgan?
Yes.
Robinson?
Aye.
Smiley? Vice Chairwoman Swearingen?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Chairman Colbert?
Aye. That item passes. Call item 3.
Item number 3 is a resolution approving a special use permit located at 2906 Old Austin P. Highway, containing 0.27 acres in the commercial mixed use -3 district. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is SUP 20-16.
Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Hayes, the applicant on the line.
Yes, Mr. Nickelberry and Mr. Frederick are on the line.
Very good. Colleagues, we did not hear this case in committee, So it came downstairs with no presentation and no recommendation. There is no opposition to this case. However, Administrator Whitehead is on the line to give a presentation, and the applicant is on the line to answer any questions. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I move it to the floor.
Second.
I believe Councilman Warren seconded it to Councilman Canale's motion. I want to go ahead and get a presentation. Administrator Whitehead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Whitehead. One more time. This is a relatively small site in what was probably at one time known as downtown Raleigh on Old Austin P Highway. The request again is for as Ms. Snipes mentioned, for vehicle sales. That is one of the uses in this zoning district that requires individual review. We call that individual review by the governing body a special use permit, as we've discussed throughout the day. Again, middle of Raleigh, here we zoom in and we see this is at the just south of the southeast corner of Stage and Old Austin P, just north of Fayette Road. Most of the uses in the vicinity are higher intensity commercial. That's indicated in our land use map, our existing land use map in red. And there are some lighter commercial area uses surrounding it indicated in pink. Here's the property. The applicant filed an application with us once he realized that this was not a use by right, a permitted use in this zoning district. I believe once he sought his state permit. Car sales are one of those types of use that we have a pretty good control on ensuring their zoning compliance because there is a license process for this use, in this case through the state. When the state asked for a zoning letter from the applicant, you realize after you see he had made some improvements that he required a special use permit. And indeed, the property has been improved. And in your resolution, there are some conditions requiring the introduction of some curbing and landscaping. So some of what you see here along Fayette on the right and along Old Austin P on the left would have to be adjusted if approved as conditions. And the other major component with a resolution related to a special use permit, in addition to the conditions, is the site plan. And here is the site plan. It would need to be amended to reflect some of the conditions, particularly the ones surrounding new curbing and guttering along Fayette. Here's the original plat, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned it was downtown Raleigh. There indeed is the original courthouse. I'm not sure if it looked like that, but here is our recorded plat with the Register of Deeds with the subject property in yellow. When we looked at the 3.0 plan, we noticed that this was the same kind of orange that we saw on Brookhaven, anchor neighborhood mix of housing types. Well, that does not meet the requested use, car sales. However, like the last case, this comes to you with a slightly different interpretation from the Land Use Control Board. There was no opposition at the Land Use Control Board, and the board, felt that this was consistent with the plan, and so it comes to you with a recommendation of rejection from staff and approval from the Land Use Control Board. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Administrator Whitehead. Councilwoman Logan?
Yes, thank you so much, Chair. I had a couple things I wanted to say. Since, I've been following this, and you can't tell with this picture, but this space is really small, and there are going to be a lot of cars on this area. So much has happened since this first started. Car sales, and there's been a lot of stealing of catalytic converters off cars, and a lot of noise and mufflers, and so much going on. This is Austin P. This is a corridor that the city has spent a lot of money on and investing in. The neighbors and residents want to see it repurposed and come back to life. And unfortunately, the car sales wasn't one of the things that they were looking to see. And with so much going on as it relates to auto theft, we just had one of the, a gentleman, a business owner, shot in the head the other day. They were stealing catalytic converters off his car. He walked up, and that's not that far from here and was shot in the head. So there are so many things going on. And even at this location right behind there was an arson, a bus set on fire, and things like that. So there's a lot going on in that area. Across the street, there's a corner gas station that is being watched, as well as a hotel there. There's a lot of crime in both areas. It's a very small space. It's going to be hard to get in and out. These things were discussed at a community meeting that they had. I know it says on here that there was no opposition, but I, listened to some of the residents that had concerns. And even though the applicants and the residents did speak, there were still concerns with it being here and approval. And for that reason, I can't support it, because I know of all of the concerns that the community had surrounding it. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you, Councilwoman Logan. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council Lady Logan, would it help if maybe you had a meeting with this group and we held this for 3 weeks until the next council meeting?
Yes, that would be fine.
Then if that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to hold this till the next council meeting.
Good with me, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Have the ball. Ladies and gentlemen, this is there's a motion to move this without objection. Hold it until the next council meeting so that Council Lady Logan can meet. Seeing no members in the queue, no objection. That item is held. All right. All right, Madam Comptroller, before we go to the fiscal and then the MLG and W consent, colleagues, I got a little bit ahead of myself. Let's have a moment of silence for Officer Nicholas Blow. He was off duty as he left the range station on March 12th and killed by apparently a driver under the influence, March 8th. Let's have a moment of silence, please. Thank you, colleagues. Madam Comptroller, let's call the fiscal consent agenda.
That would take us to item number 13, a resolution accepting grant funds in the amount of $20,000 from Arbor Day Foundation to support maintenance of trees at McFarland Park, District 4, Super Districts 8. This resolution is sponsored by Park Services. There is a request for same-night minutes. Item number 14 is a resolution accepting in-kind donation in value of $10,300 from 901 Volleyball for support of volleyball courts at Toby Park, District 5, Super District 9. This resolution is sponsored by Park Services. There's a request for same-night minutes. Item number 15 is a resolution to accept funds from Federal Express to sponsor the We Mean Business Symposium by the Office of Business Diversity and Compliance, all council districts. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Finance, and there is a request for same-night minutes. Item number 16 is a resolution to accept funds from National League of Cities to sponsor Kivia Hub Microloan Partnership by the Office of Business Diversity and Compliance, all council districts. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Finance. There's a request for same night minutes. Item number 16 is a resolution to accept funds from National League of Cities to sponsor the Kivia Hub Microloan Partnership by the Office of Business Diversity and Compliance, all council districts. This resolution is sponsored by the Finance Division, and there is a request for same night minutes for this one also. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our fiscal consent agenda items.
Move
Thank
it.
you very much for your motion.
Move it, Carlisle.
Second, Warren.
Been moved by Councilman Carlisle, seconded by Councilman Warren. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on our fiscal consent agenda. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am. Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colbert.
Aye. That item passes. Madam Comptroller, call the MLG&W fiscal consent agenda.
That will take us to item number 17, a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 12126, Trend Micro Enterprise Support with Unico Technology LLC in the funded amount of $70,175. Item number 18 is a resolution requesting approval to pay an invoice from the North American Transmission Forum, Inc. for the 2021 Equal Share Membership Dues in the amount of $50,415. Item number 19 is a resolution approving payment of an invoice from the American Public Gas Association for the 2021 annual membership dues in the amount of $57,000. Item number 20 is a resolution approving purchase order number 157380 to Doble Engineering Company in the amount of $49,363.30 for software agreement and test equipment rental for an additional 12-month extension to April 11th, 2022. Item number 21 is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Kaiser Compressor for air compressors and equipment in the amount of $57,361.90. Item number 22 is a resolution approving change number 3 to contract number 11800, Info Water Hydraulic Model Implementation Services with Innovise Incorporated in the funded amount of $11,372. Item number 23, resolution awarding contract number 12229, Lichterman DPC installation to American Electrical Contractors, Inc. in the funded amount of $299,589. Item number 24, resolution awarding a purchase order to Brighter Days and Nights for 3-phase low-energy reclosing devices in the amount of $3,589,770. Item number 25 is a resolution approving change number 3 to contract number 11947, grounds maintenance with Bean and Prince Contractors Incorporated in the funded amount of $435,082. Item number 26 is a resolution approving change number 16 to contract number 11292, cashiering system replacement with System Innovators in the funded amount of $45,806.03. And item number 27 is a resolution approving change number 5 to contract number 11740, claims case management with American Technical Services in the funded amount of $79,000. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our MLGW fiscal consent items.
So
Thank you very much. I see everybody wants to split out item 40 from the MLG&W fiscal consent agenda. There's no objection to that.
Been added to it, but yeah, sure.
Figured. All right, let's go back to everything else. So the items 17 through 27. So we're dividing.
Second.
All right, moved. Get a second.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Robinson, seconded by Councilman Canale. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on the MLG&W fiscal consent agenda. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley, Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Corbett.
Aye, that item passes. All right, we're now to item 40 of the MLG&W fiscal consent agenda. Colleagues, if you checked your emails, that's where the revised or the resolution has been emailed to you. Before we go to Councilman Carlisle, Councilwoman Johnson, do you wish to be recognized?
Yes, I do. This resolution, I'm trying to bring it up on my computer.
Staff,
Came about, I have it. I'm hoping everyone else is able to bring it up as well. This resolution came about after thinking about it and what had happened in the past in regards to the action taken back in September of 2020 when we voted against a GDS proposal in order to get information in regards to energy resources for Memphis. When I thought about it, it was not the concept that I wanted to stop us continue to seek for the information, but there were some issues about that particular proposal that I just did not agree to. So I've come back, I met with the administration, and I've tried to come up with some form of a compromise for the particular situation. And basically, the first part of the resolution, I introduced what happened back in September, how much the proposal would cost. But it's down at, therefore, be it further resolved by the Memphis City Council that the additional requirements be included in the agreement with the GDS Associates and agreed upon by the Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Board of Commissioners. And this is what I'm really seeking your support on. I think that the tax rate payers need as much information as possible before we continue to go forward with this concept. I don't have all the information, and that's all I've ever asked is someone to give me the information. And for various reasons, it seems to be hesitant. So after talking with the administration, we agreed on these considerations that may be added. And I would hope that collectively we can get the information and then make a decision. The first issue is that the City of Memphis administration should review and approve the RFP before they are issued, and the City of Memphis administration shall be a part of the review and selection process of any RFP submission. We want the city administration to be a part of it, that it would not be considered an independent decision by Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. Second, the RFP should make it clear that the three portfolios are the desired scenarios, but that any response may include additional proposals of a better way to transmit or generate power for Memphis and Shelby County. Again, if anyone out there has any idea on a better way to generate energy, please talk up, and I want them to feel comfortable and to submit a proposal. Using the EPC PPA team sheet and final offer stage as a check-in for Memphis Light, Gas, and Board of Commissioners and Memphis City Council to determine the feasibility of leaving Tennessee Valley Authority within 7 to 11 months of the issuance of the notice to proceed. That was a concern I had initially, the time frame. But I think we talked about there's possibilities that it could be done on a lot less time frame, and I would like for the Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Board to consider that as well. 4, during the bid evaluation shortlist process, there must be an evaluation of the reliability of the power supplier, transmission, and generation, including such things like evaluating economic risk analysis, counterparty credit worthiness, counterparty market credibility, and past performance. But what we've seen recently, we know reliability is a major issue, and that needs to be included as well when the proposals come back in. And this is what I'm proposing as a compromise. I don't think we should just stop. I think we need to continue to seek the information. We deserve, the citizens deserve it. And if we can get to one point to realize either the cost is too high, then we can stop it. But if the cost is not too high, we can proceed to the next step. But I think the best way to get the information is to request it and try to get it as quickly as possible. And those are my recommendations here.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm just making sure I've got the cue right. I co-signed this with Council Lady Johnson. Councilman Carlisle, I thought you were exactly on the money that we need to finish the conversation. One thing I knew in private practice that it's talking numbers is one thing, hard bidding is something else entirely, because that's when you put your money where your mouth is. So I am not against scrapping the RFP process. I think it's a pretty good compromise, but I'm really interested in hearing what y'all think about it moving forward. But I think we've got something. With that, I'll go straight to Councilman Carlisle.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I mean, I would love to be 6 months down the road from December. I wish it was as easy as waving a wand here and going right back, but honestly, we don't know that. The world changes in this period of time, and so while and I'm really not sure how this changes from what was voted down, other than abdicating our authority to the city administration, but that's okay. If it gets us moving forward, maybe that's what we need to do. I'd like to hear from 2 people, I think. JT Young would be one, so I can understand. So this is coming in the middle of our meeting. MLGW's Board of Commissioners, I don't think, is aware of this. I think they may have been involved in some of the conversation, but I guess I'd like to hear from JT to understand whether or not we can actually even pick this thing back up and proceed as if we turn the clock back 5 months from now, or if we've got to give MLGW and its Board of Commissioners some latitude to potentially have to rebid this if GDS says they're unwilling or can't, or something in there on their side of things has changed.
Thank you, Councilman. This is JT Young, President and CEO of MLGW. So definitely want to say thank you to the administration and to you, Councilwoman Johnson. I know this has been something that and the mayor for being engaging. And I want to say one of the things that we want to be able to do is make sure that our board has an opportunity to review this. We've looked at it, but I don't know. And of course, our board meets tomorrow, but it's not on the board agenda. But I mean, we do want to make sure that they weigh in. So what I wasn't clear about, having looked at the resolution as it was amended, are a couple of things. One, we've not re-engaged with GDS. So I don't know if the terms and conditions that were relevant back in September are still relevant. They may be, but I don't know that they are, because it involved more than just GDS. It was also Stanley Consultants was their partner. So that's one question. The other side of it, of course, is whether or not the cost that I think is still quoted as what it was back then is the same. And there's some other things, but at the end of the day, I think I'd like for at least the board to have a chance to. I know that they've seen probably the elements that Mayor Strickland has conveyed, and I think that, but we've not had a chance to present and talk about, and they haven't, at least as the body. And I think Cheryl Patterson is on, our general counsel. She may want to weigh in on other thoughts around that, but certainly we want to partner, do whatever we need to do, what's in the best interest of our customers. I think that's the goal of everybody at the end of the day. And we want to make sure that any information that we do derive is actionable information. And, that's the goal that we have, is making sure of that. But that's my thoughts on that.
And I appreciate that. Again, I want to be, I guess, at a high level. I think I'm as interested as everybody else is getting, and I'm glad JT used the term actionable information, but I think we need to be very measured in our approach and not run off half-cocked. I think the other thing that has changed is we have now, MLGW and the city, I believe, have entered into a federal lawsuit over the FERC guidance. And I'm not sure how that is going to impact us. Alan, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Would you mind just giving us a high level about where we are as a city entity and MLGW in this process and the potential impact and timing? Or if we need more time to understand that, like, can you loop me in?
I think Cheryl is probably the best person to update you on that.
Cheryl, would you mind? I'm sorry.
I haven't had the opportunity to talk to both sides. They've reached out to me and want to set Zoom calls for me to brief me on where they are. But Cheryl's been intimately involved, and maybe she can address the timing questions that you have.
Good afternoon. This is Cheryl Patterson, General Counsel at MLGW. For your question, the FERC filing was made mid-January, as you know, or you made that filing, smaller utilities across the TVA Valley. At this point, TVA has responded to that and filed, I think, right around the 1st of December. And as of today, responses from the petitioner have been filed with FERC. There is not a timeline, to my knowledge, within FERC must act. And once they do act, there are opportunities for appeal. So at this point, I can't really give you a great timeline on when this will be. The last time this question came before FERC was probably 2005, something like that. And it took them about 2 years.
Okay. I mean, I'm interested to hear what everybody else has to say. I voted for this last year. I'm not sure I see much of a difference in the language that's been added here. So if that gets us moving forward, great. But I'm not sure the world is as we left it. So I'm a little concerned about some of the mechanics of this. But I'm not sure that at the end of the day, I quipped earlier to someone that is an attorney that, I guess the devil's in the details. We may not have to worry about that here because I think we're expressing the council's desire and intent. But Chair, I'll yield back so I can hear from some of my colleagues.
Thank you very much. Councilman Morgan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I won't get too much into the contents today, because I think the first question is whether or not we have the authority to do this. Where we voted down an issue, I guess it was 4 or 5 months ago. We brought it off the shelf. The world changed in the meantime. Circumstances changed. We bring it off the shelf. We changed the terms of it, and then we approve. And I guess what was the term? We hereby approve and award the contract. So my question is to legal: does this not need to come from the board first before we can take action on it? Now, we can approve any resolution we want recommending something to the board, but in terms of approving and awarding of a contract, we don't have the authority to change or dictate terms back to MLGW. We just vote up or down on the contract they present to us. Is that correct?
That is what the charter provides. It is probably you do have the option of doing what you're doing today, and then subject to it being ratified by the MLG&W board, but it does require some action by them if you're changing what they had approved and submitted to you and what you voted down. So either way, I mean, they're going to have to weigh in at some point if you want to follow what the charter requires. Okay, so with the order of things, though, they don't have to go first. We can go first, send it to them, and then it never comes back to us for approval? The normal order is that they approve contracts. Okay. They submit them to you to vote them up or down. They did that in this case, and you voted it down. It has sat there. I don't think we have. It sat there for a while. I don't think we've moved to reconsider to take it up again. But if you have some recommendation that you think is actionable by them, you can adopt it and send it back to them. But it's just going to be a messy exercise going back and forth. Yeah. It might be. I don't know what the urgency is, but it might. I mean, that hadn't been expressed today, but it might be the most prudent thing is to allow them to evaluate it, and then you consider taking action on it at your next meeting. That might be the cleanest and less messier way to handle it. So the MLGW has a board meeting tomorrow morning, correct? Mr. Young? That's what I was just told. You can ask.
Yes.
So I guess, can this be an item on the agenda where, and I don't know if the majority of the council supports this. I don't think we've had a full deliberation on the changes, including, the administration getting involved. This was just, for my sake, this was the first time I was seeing the changes until after hours late last night. So I'd like a little bit more time to think and deliberate on the changes in the contract and also the changes in the world, and whether or not that affects the GDS contract that I voted for about 5 months ago. So rather than vote on this resolution, which I guess would make things messy, I prefer that hold it and let the board initiate the action to us. If some of those terms are acceptable to them, they can send back to us. But then again, this is the problem we got into, because I'm not sure the board has faith that the council is going to pass whatever they send back. So this was kind of the stalemate that we got at without knowing what the council vote is. So maybe it is easier for the council to vote on something, but it has to be kind of a recommended resolution, or rather than something of an approval of a contract, which we might not be able to take up or do at this time. I'd be interested to hear my colleagues' thoughts as well. Thank you.
Why don't we do this, Councilman Morgan? I've got 3 other members in the queue. Let's hear their questions and their thoughts and see where we are at that point in terms of a hold. Councilwoman Robinson, you're recognized.
Yes, I have several questions, and I appreciate the opportunity to ask those questions. Number one, I'd like our attorney Wade to answer a question about number one. The City of Memphis administration should review and approve an RFP. Is that legal according to our charters?
I haven't carefully researched that issue, but I do know that you have to understand that MLG&W is an enterprise fund, basically, that they are funded from ratepayer revenues, and state law requires us to maintain, separateness between our fiscal affairs and theirs. At one point, the mayor was a non-voting member of the board, and that was changed in 1980, and he was removed. But any items that come before you have to go through his office to be put on your agenda. I think I haven't seen any language that would allow the mayor to contract for them or to approve their contract. But that's up to the MLG&W board. If they want to defer to him, that is their prerogative. That's essentially, I don't know that the question is whether it's legal or not. I think it could be structured to be legal if you had all parties cooperating and agreeing.
So are you saying that this is just a recommendation?
I'm saying, yeah, I think the board would have to bless it in order for it to be finally approved by them. I think they've got to weigh in on it.
Okay.
I don't know whether they participated in the drafting of this or not, but our order of procedure is for contracts to be approved by the MLG&W board and then recommended to the council for approval or disapproval. And that's basically, we don't get to negotiate. We don't get to change the terms. They have to bless it before it's finally adopted.
Okay. So let me talk to me a little bit about, will this set a new precedent and we will be involved in a lot more contract negotiation?
I think if you follow what I just said, that any action would ultimately have to be ratified by the MLG&W board. I don't think it changes our procedure dramatically. If you X the board out and ignore their participation, it could present a new mode of operation.
Okay. My second question is item number 3. The term sheet and final offer stage as a check-in for the MLGW Board of Commissioners, and the Memphis City Council determined the feasibility of leaving Tennessee in a 7 to 11 month period. Is that a recommendation, or are we trying to get it done in that amount of time?
I think you need to ask the author of the resolution that. I don't know.
Okay. Councilwoman Johnson.
May I, Chair, respond?
Please.
Okay, that particular checklist was part of the GDS proposal that headed at the end of the proposal. We're basically bringing it to a lot closer to the front end of it, saying that we can determine at that point if it's even feasible to continue with the process. If we can find out at that point that the cost is too excessive, I'll be willing to just drop it. But I need the information on the front end. I hate for us to go through all the additional data collection if we really can't afford it anyway. So that's the purpose of that.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. And so on number 4, I have a question for you, Councilwoman Johnson. During the bid evaluation and shortlist process, there must be an evaluation of the reliability of power. So you're asking them to add some additional items to the RFP process, or I thought that was already included.
You're muted.
Council Lady Johnson, you're muted.
I'm sorry, Chairwoman, Chair, I'm sorry. What we're asking at this point is, over the time of last month and the situation we saw in Texas, it has become apparent that reliability is a major component. If the particular energy sources cannot show us that they can sustain the resources to us in difficult times, that would be a major consideration when trying to make the final evaluation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Kovac.
All right, thank you very much, Council Lady Robinson. Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the spirit of this. However, I do have some hesitation about the council abdicating what its responsibility is based upon the city's charter and giving the administration responsibility over this. I would remind my colleagues that MLG&W went through what I felt was a objective procedure in coming up with this. It was us that wanted to tip the scales, in my opinion, tip the scales in favor of one vendor versus the other. So at that time, colleagues, I advocated for us to have an independent, we have an agnostic approach to this whole process. But how this got tainted is when, like I said, when we tried to tip the scales in one direction and require this as part of the RFP or go with a certain vendor that was not selected by an objective procedure. So I'm okay with our revisiting this. Perhaps it can be as simple as our bringing this back up for consideration, and perhaps MLG&W then can go through the process, look at what and adjust whatever the cost may be. But colleagues, if we cannot blame MLG&W for this procedure, right or wrong, if we're having our influences as part of this. So I would hope that if we choose to revisit this, and I think that there's the will to do so, let's just do so in a way that does not advocate what our responsibility is based upon the city's charter. Let's do it in a way that is objective, and we accept whatever the results may be of this process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilman Warren?
Yes, I had some questions for the administration on where this resolution relates to them. I'm just wondering, it almost looks like they're in a mediating role as compared to us and MLG&W. And if that's the case, I don't really think that's an abdication as much as maybe a mediation to get us talking and to help maybe with some, I guess what, was just like lack of trust that you were receiving from the council. And I just wanted to see if I could get Mayor Strickland to comment.
Thank you, Councilman. That's how I was viewing this when I put this together. And let me back up because I want to put it in context, and it's been consistent the whole way through. TVA has been a great partner for the city of Memphis for decades. In my 5 years as mayor, they've been a great partner, especially on economic development. They're extraordinary, showing significant possible savings. But studies are studies. You have to get hard numbers. The only way to do that was RFP. And I think everyone agreed that we need to have an RFP with the common goal that we wanted the most reliable service at the best possible price. Obviously, we hit a stumbling block several months ago about how do we issue those RFPs. And in our talking with the MLG&W administration, the MLG&W board, some of the board members, and most of the council, it was clear to us that those we were still at a stalemate, and we were getting no closer to a compromise RFP. We hired a consultant, an energy expert, to consult with us in December and January, and she still is. And we came up with these recommendations. Now, I will say, Councilwoman Johnson has changed slightly the recommendations that I sent to you and the board, the MLGW board last night. And actually, under item number one, involved the administration even more than what I had proposed. I want you to know that I am flexible on any of these 4 points. I am flexible whether you want to wait 2 or 3 months to get what happened, till the markets maybe stabilize. I don't know enough about the markets to know whether that is. I just think we got to get, if we're all still committed to get firm numbers, we got to get an RFP done. And to get an RFP done, there's got to be compromise on almost everyone's part if you want an RFP done. So that's why I made those recommendations. But if you want to cut out item one and go with the others, that's fine. I am flexible on every single point.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that when I read this, and it seemed to me like what we were trying to do is to get to where we actually have the ability to compare the two systems and the risk and benefits. And I would propose that we move forward with this and see what the hard numbers are. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Warren. Council Lady Logan.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure that we are moving forward in the vein of our charter, making sure that, we're not spending money that hasn't been approved, making sure that the council's responsibility and role is still intact, even moving forward. We all want real numbers, hard numbers, but we want to make sure that we don't relinquish, our role in getting that. I don't think we need to be hasty. I've heard, my colleagues and even Mayor Strickland just mentioned that this resolution has changed. We didn't, some people said that they were not aware of this portion or that portion. And I think everyone should be totally clear on what we're doing and where we're going, and before we move forward and make a decision. So that I would just hope that we could all be on one accord and have a better understanding of what the resolution is saying and what everybody's role is, because we are going to be, it seems like, setting a precedent. So my recommendation is that we don't be hasty with this. If we need to hold it and discuss it, that's what we need to do. And with that, I give back.
All right, thank you, Council Lady Logan. Council Lady Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, and I really appreciate all the comments. I want to reemphasize the point that it was only an effort to try to get the ball moving again, and that I think it's going to take some type of compromise between Memphis Light, Gas, and Water and the City Council, our board, really, in order to get some true facts and numbers. But considering all of that, I think I'm in agreement with Councilwoman Logan. We may need to place a hold on this one, and so I so move, and I need a second in order to place a hold on it, and we'll deal with it in the future at the next meeting.
All right, I have a motion to hold and proper second, but Councilman Jones, just go ahead and let's hold it.
Yeah, and it can be, my concerns can be addressed to this. And this is a question for Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, if the council reconsidered this, could everything that we're trying to accomplish in this resolution take place?
Yes, I'm glad we heard from the mayor because I think the tone that he set was that this was trying to reach a compromise. But I think the compromise has to involve both parties. And so I think the way this should probably flow is that it should be put on hold, sent back to the MLG&W board to see if they agree. If they agree, then there's no dispute. We can take it up at our next meeting and move on. If there are modifications, we can address those, or even have the mayor weigh in a little more if he wants to be the mediator in this process, and then make sure we're all on the same page. But right now, I don't know that we are. I don't know that we aren't.
Well, and colleagues, I think where we are now, we're saying that we want to consider this. But I want to remind everybody that MLG&W sent us what their recommendation was. We didn't like their recommendation, but that wasn't our job. We are, like I said, I feel that there are certain members who wanted the RFP to look a certain way and to, if my memory serves me correctly, to pull out certain provisions of what would be an open, transparent, a blindly approach to this RFP. So if it's just as simple as our saying, let's go back to the drawing board, we're the ones that messed this up. It wasn't MLG&W. They presented something to us. We said we wanted to change it. We said we didn't like it. So what's there to compromise? We reconsider and let MLG&W do their job, and they, whatever they objectively approve, they send it to us. But it's when we wanted to put our hands in the mix, that's how things messed up. Totally on us. It's not on MLG&W, not on the board, it's not on the city's administration, it's not on MLG&W administration. We have to own the decision that we rejected this because we didn't like what it was set out to be. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The legislative process worked. All right, I have a motion to hold with a proper second by Warren. Seeing none, I hold for 3 weeks or maybe even longer.
Mr. Chairman, I be recognized.
Please, Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mr. Young, I implore you and your board to come together tomorrow and have a very substantive conversation in an effort that we could have information traded back to the council prior to our April 6th meeting. Clearly, this group is anxious to move forward with a process, and we want to be in lockstep with our board and with the citizens. So I will leave you with that comment. No, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilman. The only caveat I'd like to just mention, if it's appropriate, is that due to the nature of the suggestions, I'm not sure that this is something that can be finalized at our board meeting tomorrow. So I need everybody to be aware that that might not happen tomorrow. So we may need to have it may need to be the following board meeting, and I'm not sure what that does to your calendar, but I need everybody to understand that we need our board to have the ability to, may even have to have attorney-client or something, I don't know. But I want to make sure everybody's aware. No, I'm not saying we need to expect that to be finished tomorrow.
Yeah, and Mr. Young, for what it's worth, and I won't speak for the chairman and the rest of my council, this body can convene a meeting. If you have to have a couple board meetings to get this thing rolling, we can always move a resolution in a meeting versus an ordinance. So we hear you. We just looking for the partnership and get this thing going. So thank you.
And one last point I will make on that is that at our last board meeting, I made a recommendation to the board, and so there was going to be some conversations around that at our next one at some point probably. So that's why I'm saying I'm not sure how this will be, but we'll certainly we'll work with them and see what we come up with. Absolutely.
All right, President Young. I sense there is compromise, and I sense that there is the council members want an idea for the RFP. So let's move out, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. All right, moving on.
We didn't vote. Did we vote on the whole?
It was done without objection.
Okay.
Yeah, it was held without objection until next meeting and may even be longer. All right, let's go to item 36. Madam Comptroller, I'm going to go through the rest of the same night minute stuff. So item 36.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 36 is a resolution asking the City of Memphis to adopt and fund the Black Church Mobile Vaccine Site Program. This resolution is sponsored by council members Canali, Carlisle, Colvette, Easter Thomas, Ford Sr., Johnson, Jones, Logan, Robinson, Smiley, Swearingen, and Warren. There is a request for same night minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Comptroller. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Seconded.
Moved by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilman Smiley. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 36. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, that item passes. Call item 37.
Item number 37 is a substitute resolution opposing the Byhalia Connection Pipeline. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Smiley, Ford, and Warren. There's a request for same night minutes.
Councilman Smiley, you recognized.
Mr. Chair, the committee met recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved by Smiley, seconded by Warren. Co-sponsors. Seeing no other members of the queue seeking recognition, I assume you're ready to vote on item 37. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Hold up.
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, that item passes. Call item 38.
Item number 38 is a resolution requesting a 245-day moratorium on the construction and opening of all new gas stations and used tire shops, and requesting the Division of Planning and Development to study the effects on the City of Memphis and propose zoning amendments that reflect said effects. This resolution is sponsored by Councilwoman Logan, and there is a request for same night minutes.
Thank you very much, Councilman Canali.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee met, recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
Moved by Canali, seconded by Warren. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 38. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle, Carlisle, Easter Thomas,
Yes, and is it too late to be added as a co-sponsor?
No.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Number 2.
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye, and co-sponsor, please.
thank you. Chairman Covett.
Aye, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, item 39 is consent, but I still want to knock out same night minutes. So let's go with item 40. No, I'm sorry, we did that.
Yes. 41? Thank you. Item number 41 is a resolution renewing support for the neighborhood camera program designed to provide additional camera surveillance to all city council districts. This resolution is sponsored by the administration. There is a request for same night minutes.
I get a motion and a second.
Move it.
Second.
All right, moved by Canale, seconded by Warren. Seeing no members in the queue, assume you're ready to vote on item 41. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale.
Yes.
Carlisle. Easter Thomas.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Logan.
Aye.
Morgan. Robinson.
Aye.
Smiley. Vice Chairwoman Swearingen.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Aye, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, please call our consent agenda.
That will take us to item number 4, which is a resolution authorizing an Ida B. Wells Memorial at the corner of Bill Street and 4th Street. This resolution is sponsored by Council Members Warren, Canale, Easter Thomas, Johnson, Logan, Robinson, Smiley, and Swearingen. Item number 5 is an ordinance rezoning the northwest corner of Frazier Boulevard and Ardmore Street containing 0.7 acres in the residential 6 and residential 10 districts. Up for first reading, this ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is Z21-04, ordinance number 5780. Item number 6 is an ordinance rezoning the south side of East Holmes Road, approximately 1,534 feet west of Pleasant Hill Road, containing 4.05 acres in the Conservation Agriculture District. Up for first reading, this ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is Z21-01, ordinance number 5781. Item number 7, notation from the Land Use Control Board that the following case was heard and recommendation made requesting a date of public hearing for A, case number PD 20-18, CBU North Campus Plan Development, and that suggested date is April 6, 2021. Item number 8 is a resolution approving the public improvements to Project Iris, contract number CR-5317. Item number 9 is a resolution approving the engineering plans for Morning Sun Road Sewer Extension, contract number CR-5361. Item number 10 is a resolution approving the engineering plans for AT Virginia Loss, contract number CR-5362. Item number 11 is a resolution approving the engineering plans of H2S Downtown Memphis, contract number CR-5363. Item number 12 is a resolution approving the engineering plans for Broad Avenue Apartments, contract number CR-5364. 5364. And on our add-ons, we have an additional consent item, number 39, an ordinance protecting public health and the environment, preserve the Memphis Sand Aquifer, and promote environmental justice, up for first reading. Ordinance number 5782 is sponsored by Councilman Warren and Councilman Ford. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our consent agenda items.
Can I get a motion to second?
Move it.
Second. Moved by Councilman Carlisle, seconded by Councilman Canale. Seeing no members in the queue, assume you're ready to vote for the consent agenda. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Easter Thomas.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Logan.
Aye.
Morgan.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
Smiley.
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Chairman Colbert.
Aye, that item passes. Go to our regular agenda, item 28.
Item number 28 is appointments. Public Art Oversight Committee, Ms. Davita Crutherd. Health Educational Housing Facility Board, reappointments, Moniz Hagler, Buckner Welford, and Nancy Willis. That concludes our appointments.
Councilman Carlisle.
Thank you, Chairman. The committee met, unanimously approved, and I so moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Carlisle, seconded by Councillady Robinson. Seeing no members in the queue, assume you're ready to vote on item 28. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Aye.
Easter Thomas. Ford. Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Logan.
Aye.
Morgan.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
Smiley.
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Chairman Colbert.
Aye, that item passes.
Ford, aye.
Thank you. I have you noted, Mr. Ford.
All right, Madam Comptroller, call item 29.
Item number 29 is an ordinance to amend City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 5, Animals and Fowl, to create Article 5 to restrict the retail sale of dogs and cats at pet stores. Up for third and final reading, ordinance number 5777 is sponsored by Councilman Morgan, Councilman Warren, and the administration, and this was held from March 2nd.
Councillady Easter Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. The committee met and sent this down first reading, and suggests that the council take whatever action is advisable.
Thank you very much. Can I get a
I so
second?
move.
Second.
Morgan seconds.
All right, been moved by Councillady Easter Thomas, seconded by Councilman Morgan. I believe Councilman Jones is in the queue.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item has been discussed ad nauseum. So where we are now, it's just a matter of voting whether we think that there should be a prohibition or whether there should be a permitting process. But before we move on, I'd like for Mr. Dean to be recognized, Mr. Andre Dean, who's representing Petlo.
Mr. Dean, may I have your name and address for the record? You'll be so recognized. not appear to be on the line.
Mr. Dean, I did see Mr. Davis, who is the proprietor, so he can speak for himself since he's the one who's the applicant, well, who's the owner of Pet Land.
Mr. Davis, may I have your name and address, and you'll be recognized.
Yes, sir. It's Michael Davis, 950 Grand Canal Street, Gulf Breeze, Florida, 32563.
Please share.
All right. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Councilman Jones, for allowing me to speak. I have a statement so that I don't waste my time this time. But first of all, I want to thank the council for taking this matter up and going through this process. I've actually enjoyed some of the meetings that we've had. But I came back to Memphis after 20 months of work to start a business that I was very excited about, as Memphis is my hometown. I have hundreds of relatives in Memphis within the city limits, which I've told you guys about. So this is something big for me, and I love my return to Memphis. And I have followed every law. I've attained every required permit or license, and working hand in hand with the Shelby County and Memphis Construction Inspection Organization, which has been quite professional. As stated before, I've invested $939,000 to open this business during that 20-month period. And not one city official during that 20 months ever asked a question or even questioned my ability to open the store. All the permits and all my requests and plans were approved rapidly. So I want to raise the question, is it fair to take away a small business investment like that with a new city ordinance after the store's been built? And I just think not. I also have 40 employees from the Memphis area. They're all waiting to go to work in good paying jobs with good benefits, and they all love animals. And I think I've proven that during the course of these readings. And yes, a yes vote impacts not just my business investment, but all of these employees as well. I think we all have the right intent here, but I don't want to harm my employees. And recently, I've been harassed in my own store by city officials with citations that have no basis, and by Memphis employees that were stating that they were only doing their jobs. And that doesn't make me feel too well, and I'm sure some of you can relate. But I'm still committed to opening my store. During these proceedings, questions to understand became statements, and talking points began to be more common than seeking to understand. But many statements have been made for emotional impact, not truth, just to win the day, regardless if it were true or not. But to be clear, I don't buy my puppies from puppy mills. The opposition has never defined what a puppy mill is, so they can just say whatever they want, and it has that emotional impact. I buy my puppies from USDA-inspected facilities for the U.S. government. And speaking of the USDA, our meat, our chicken, our beef, our lamb, our eggs, and most of our foods are regulated by the USDA. I find it unusual that we accept the USDA for what goes into our stomachs, but they can't monitor a puppy? I don't buy that. And I've been accused as a predatory lender. That is just simply not true. 80% of my customers are offered no interest, either 6 or 12 months. Not everybody takes it. Some would like longer terms, so they have lower payments if they want to finance. But council people, there are laws in this country that if somebody requests credit and you offer credit, you're obligated to share all the plans, and they get to pick what they want. I can't give them what I think they need. In summary, Memphis needs more small business in the community. And Memphis needs an alternative to buying puppies in a Kroger parking lot or on the side of a street. And yes, there is adoption at the animal shelter. And we believe strongly that we will have no effect on that. Even though the animal shelter is not our fan, we think we can work together with them hand in hand, and we will not affect their business. My store is a good, ethical business. I've not broken any laws or regulations. It's just simply not fair for the council to change the law after I've already built the store and paid for the store. And it is not fair to my 40 employees to lose their jobs after all this time has gone by. Again, following the laws of Memphis has to mean something to small business that want to invest in the city of Memphis and to fairness itself. I respectfully request you vote no to this ordinance change and welcome my store to the community. I promise you I will be a great community partner and we will thrive together in Memphis. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Chairman Kovac.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Bring me up to speed on something because you caught me flat-footed.
Yes,
you've been.
Sir?
Your store in Memphis has already been cited?
Yes, sir. I was visited 3 times within a 2-hour period of Friday last week. Once by a policeman, once by animal shelter and the inspectors, all for citations that my attorneys have reviewed and are all bogus, have no merit whatsoever. And ironically, I find it very strange. They're very nice people, by the way. I have the names of all of them I can supply you. Very nice people. And all 3 of them apologized that they were just doing their jobs, that they were asked by their bosses to come cite me, and with a speech. And one person even said, "I'm sorry, but I was told to say this." And it was very rude. I don't have that kind of power in Memphis, but I certainly have the power to pay my taxes, and I guarantee I'll do so. I just want to be a tax-sharing business in the city of Memphis.
All right, Councilman Jones, I'll come back to you. Councilman Smiley asks, what were the citations?
I have them right here, and I can supply them. One was a citation for operating a business without final inspection. I'm closed. I'm not open. How can I be operating a business with no final inspections? I have a temporary CO, occupancy certification that we got from the building inspectors so that we could stock the store. And remember, Council, Chairman, this has been going on for a long time now. My store was about to open when this started. And I did have a problem with the plumbing inspector that has, I can't figure out a way to please him. We've applied every architectural solution. We've done everything they've asked us to do. Then every time they come to the next visit, they find one more thing. That's been the last 4 months. So during that meeting on Friday, we all agreed, okay.
So the first citation was operating the business without a permit or whatever. And what was the second?
The second one was earlier in the day. You have no approval. Sorry?
The same day?
Yeah, all this happened on Friday the same day, within 2 hours. It was a mass visit to my store. I was told at 9:35 that I had to vacate my store, vacate my animals at 9:30.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, it's already 9:35. So I contacted my attorney, came back to them. They went away. They came back, and that's when I got this. The first one I said was the second citation for the same thing, which gave me 2 weeks to solve the problem. The first one gave me a couple of days, and they only remitted from the 9:30 day time after they consulted with their higher ups. The third one was not to have a license in the kennel. And in there's a citation 8, the old ordinances. It's not a veterinarian facility in Memphis that we found that has any of these licenses. The license department told us nobody has this license, and it's obscure regulation. And we've gone to 4 different places in the city of Memphis trying to purchase this license since Friday to no avail. And we have all the names and people that we've talked to along the way. And then the last one was citation for not licensing puppies. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you own a dog in the city of Memphis, there's an ordinance that if he's older than 90 days, you must have a license for your dog. Not a rabies license, a dog license. And of course, nobody has those. But the key word is 90 days, gentlemen and ladies. None of my puppies in my kennel are 90 days old, not even close. So that's my point. If that ordinance is true and accurate, which I would be the only person in Memphis that would have a license for a dog, they're not even 90 days old. So how could I be cited? That was my Friday.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Councilman Smiley, let's come back to you because I wanted to kind of flesh those citations out for a little bit. But Councilman Jones, I rudely interrupted. You're recognized.
No, I just wanted to be recognized so we can have some final comments before we took the vote. Thank you.
Very good. Councilman Morgan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd just like to also recognize that this ordinance has been amended to what Councilman Smiley recommended, and it was done without objection when we had a debate earlier. So it's the motion is approval of the ordinance as amended, and the amendment was at the end of the definition of pet store that Councilman Smiley recommended, and it should read at the end, such definitions shall not include animal care facility, animal rescue organization, or breeder. And then the new language is who sells dogs and cats from the premise where the dogs and cats were bred and reared. And I think it was a good recommendation on some clarifying language by Councilman Smiley that was made earlier, and I wanted to make sure on the record that it was included. And before we get to too much debate back and forth, I also want to bring in Alexis Pugh on the other side of those citations, because I don't feel like the story we got was necessarily full or accurate. And she can speak with more authority towards kennel licensing and along in those lines.
Could I go ahead? I was just waiting to be recognized. Sorry, just want to make sure. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Director Pugh, name and address, please.
Thank you. Alexis Pugh, 751 Center Drive, Memphis, Tennessee. So I agree with Mr. Davis that compliance with our local city ordinances is of utmost importance when you plan to move a business here. And that's why I was disheartened when during our last council meeting, he indicated that he had moved animals here to his store when in fact he had not acquired the required kennel licensing that is publicly available through Unicode and is part of our enforcement structure. That license, and the reason why a veterinarian wouldn't be applicable, as you stated, is the kennel license specifies that this person's operating a commercial kennel where dogs are owned, bred, boarded, and or held for sale. So that would exempt out a veterinary clinic, which is why you don't hear about this often. However, this is in our code of ordinances, and it requires an inspection by the health department, and then it also requires that the license is purchased through the city treasurer's office. Once I recognized that there were animals on site, I investigated with the health department, who said no such inspection occurred or was even requested by Petland. Additionally, I spoke with the city treasurer, and Mr. Miller indicated they had received no contact from Petland in an effort to seek this kennel license. So the ordinance has been violated. As such, a summons to court was issued by our division. The plumbing inspection came out of the Office of Planning and Development, and that actually also was triggered by the fact that dogs were moved on site. Prior to that point, it was fine, but because the plumbing inspection found deficiencies in the hair traps on the drains and things of that nature, they were not allowed to move animals on site. And in fact, they were told they could stock the shelves, but not move animals in. And so on Friday, they were given 2 weeks to correct that deficiency. And that's what I heard from John Zena at the Office of Planning and Development. But my piece of this is the kennel license, and that provision kicked in the minute animals came on site. And so I would just say that, when he talked about getting all the licenses and all the things he needs to do this is plain English, plain as day, available on the internet. and that could have been procured far before animals were moved on site, and they failed to do so. And so they are, in fact, in violation of our laws as written.
Councilman Morgan?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Director Pugh. And I don't want to go point by point with Mr. Davis anymore. We tried that 2 weeks ago, and in the meantime, each council member was emailed a document that was 31 pages long with citations if they're interested in looking back and reading about language that I feel was either disingenuous, misleading, or just downright dishonest to council members 2 weeks ago. And I feel like every time, as I was talking about, we pull on the thread, we're getting half-truths or partial truths. So I don't want to engage in a back and forth. I know we've dealt with this for maybe longer than any of us wanted to. And so I want to thank council members because I feel like we've come a long way on this. Some people have been soul searching, some people have been fact finding, and some people are just trying to clear their inbox. But I think with a yes vote today, we, the council, the city, will be the recipients of a grateful population who care deeply and passionately about this issue. And it is important to so many of them. There are a number of them that it's not important to. There are a number that aren't even aware of the issues. But there are a large part of the population this is extremely important to. And I think we should pass it not only on behalf of them, but on behalf of the citizens, behalf of the citizens that may fall prey or victim to some of the practices of this industry. And again, this ordinance doesn't mention anyone specific. It wasn't intended to. It's more about a practice, and it doesn't stop anyone from being a small business owner in Memphis. We have a number of stores that operate fairly and honestly and do a great job, and they're very profitable, have a number of employees in the pet industry. So I hope that anybody would see Memphis as a welcoming spot for animals and animal care. And I think this ordinance goes a long way in the credibility of the city council and the administration with the community in terms of our intent, not only protect them, protect the animals that are in our care. So I hope we can move forward with this tonight. I hope we can get a yes vote, and I thank my colleagues for their patience and their time on this issue.
Thank you, Councilman Morgan. Look, team, I kind of think everybody's made their mind up on this. So what I'd like to do is, Councilman Carlisle, do you have any questions going forward?
Chair, I'd like to be recognized.
You're recognized.
Thanks, sir. I'll just be very quick as well. I've been putting the boxes pro-business, more small business than most. I've seen hashtag profits over people a million times. And eventually, I think it applies here. It's profits over puppies, 900 dogs a year. It's not about the retail storefront. It's not about the small business. It's about the supply chain. There's no way they can humanely source these dogs. And I've listened to you all as much as I've spoken. I've listened to all of you throughout the year. And I've heard people say we need to listen to our experts. Well, Alexis Pugh is our expert, and she says we don't need it. I've heard people say, we need to listen to the will of the people. I've received thousands of emails against this ordinance and not a single one, or for this ordinance banning sales, and not a single one against it. So I think at this point, I'm with you, Chair. I just hope my colleagues will vote how they feel is morally right in the treatment of these dogs and puppy mills. And recognizing I've got colleagues, I move the previous question after they're finished.
Well said, Councilman Carlisle. Councilman Smiley, your questions or thoughts?
Yeah, just quick thoughts. It seems to me that we were extremely diligent in our efforts to inspect Mr. Davis's business. I just wonder, are we as diligent in inspecting anything else in the city? I would suggest to you all that we are not. I wonder if we took a trip down to the Animal Services Division, would we see everything to be in order? Would it be a similar situation that we found Mr. Davis in? It's kind of ironic that Mr. Davis received 3 trips from our city officials, county officials, on the very same day. It seems that there was an agenda. I wouldn't go as far as to say an abuse of authority, but we spent a lot of resources targeting Mr. Davis's business. If we didn't want Mr. Davis to come, we could have simply just enacted the ordinance to keep him out, but just send folks to Mr. Davis's business to paint a bad picture before this body. I don't think it's fair to him. At first I was going to vote in support of this ordinance, but now I just don't feel right. It seems like we are targeting this business, not necessarily targeting the folks who are potentially wrongdoers. I'm not even sold that they're wrongdoers at this point, but I just got a bad feeling about this. It just doesn't seem right. We shouldn't be attacking this man. We're attacking him. An individual who seems to be doing right. He built this store. We're providing jobs for our community, but now we are attacking him. The very council who just sided with people, and we talk about siding with people when it comes to other issues, but we have a gentleman here who's saying he's from our community, who's providing jobs, and we talk about the emails. A lot of the emails that I receive are from folks who don't live in the city of Memphis. I'm kind of frustrated. I'm going to be honest with you all. We are attacking this guy, attacking him. We're wasting public resources, attacking him, sending folks to his business that's yet to even be open, talking about, trifle matters. It's a waste of time, waste of resources. We're doing the folks of disservice continuing to discuss this matter. I will be voting no to this ordinance, and I look forward to seeing Councilman Jones' permitting process. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Smiley, thank you. Councilwoman Logan.
Thank you, Chairman. I too feel that too much effort and energy is spent on this one particular business owner, and I am for business, small businesses. This is in my district. I went by there. I was on the fence for a moment, but I've talked to since we met this morning, made a couple calls, and a lot of the information that was shared was misleading until you ask questions. And so I was glad that I was able to speak with them. Some of the information is online. I hope that the constituents, will go online or have been online. I did receive a number of robo mail, I guess, the same letter. I went back and looked at the letters, and they're all just the same letters from people in opposition. It's not anything that I can say was from that individual. It could have been purchased. So when I heard him say that all of those citations were in one day, I too feel that it is personal, and we don't have time for that type of thing. That's not what our council is about. So I too agree that there was plenty of time prior to getting to this point that anyone on the council or anyone could have brought forth or discussed with him or brought up to us this particular business. But to wait until everything's done, it sounded like someone got upset along the way, and it's personal. So I just want to say that, we really need to make sure that when we look at small businesses, that we're not hurting them, because those are constituents as well in our city. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you, Councilwoman Logan. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 29. Moved by Easter Thomas, seconded by Morgan. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale?
Yes.
Carlisle?
Yes.
Easter Thomas?
No.
Ford?
No.
Johnson?
No.
Jones?
No.
Logan?
No.
Morgan?
Yes.
Robinson? Smiley,
No, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
No.
Warren,
Yes.
Chairman Colvett.
Yes, that item fails. Call item number 30, please.
Item number 30 is an ordinance to amend City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 33, Division 4, to modify Section 33-62 related to the sewer development fee, up for third and final reading. Ordinance number 5778 is sponsored by the Public Works Division. This was held from March 3rd.
Thank you very much. Councilman Smiley?
Mr. Chair, the committee may recommend approval, and I so move. Second, anybody?
Second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilman Smiley, seconded by Councilwoman Robinson. Seeing no members of the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 30. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen, Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Aye, that item passes.
Where's
Hey,
an
Ms.
aye?
Thank you, Vice Chairwoman Swearingen. Have you noted as yes?
With Chairman Covett, I'm not sure if it was mentioned. Can we get same 9 minutes on that pet ordinance? Thank you. We need to take a vote.
There's a request for same night minutes on item 29. Is there any objection to that?
Yeah, I object to.
Okay. It's been a long day. I have a request for same night minutes, and I have 2 objections. Do we suspend the rules to do it? What do we do? Alan Wade, are you on the call?
You don't have to suspend the rules. It goes to a motion, and now we have to have a vote.
So moved. Now we have a vote.
Second.
You need a second. There you go.
All right, I've got a motion for same night minutes on item 29, moved by Smiley, seconded by who?
Jones.
All right, I guess we'll call this special item 1.
That's correct,
I see
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Morgan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's no reason for same night minutes other than y'all are nervous about the pushback that you're going to get for your vote. The political carnage for going against so many people in the city of Memphis that are going to email you, write you letters, and call. And honestly, you don't want to hear from the people on this because you went against them. And so that's the only reason there's a push for same night minutes. It makes no logistical difference whatsoever. And I would say take the 3 weeks, listen to the people, and there has been new information coming out on this issue every time you look. If you don't want to look, that's fine. Well, I guess actually that's not fine. That's more akin to burying your head in the sand. But there was unbelievable amount of documentation supporting this. The evidence was there. The people were there. And for the life of me, I don't understand this vote. This is one of the easiest votes to come in front of the city council in a long time. And I think it was a tremendous mistake. And I want to give my colleagues that opportunity of 3 weeks to reconsider it. Otherwise, I think this is going to hang around the council for a long time and be a major disappointment to our community. So let's just take the time, take a breath, and wait for 3 weeks and do it on the normal course at the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All the time. And when it's in your favor, we never hear that objection. And very rarely does the opposite side raise any objections to same night minutes when it's done on the other side. Colleagues, as I mentioned earlier during the day today, we can always, there's nothing that binds this council from not acting. We have because this fails, we will have an ordinance that we can discuss, we can modify, we can change, and I'm open to those discussions. So, I just couldn't let, the hypocrisy that you're showing here, I couldn't let that go unchallenged here because you've done it all the time when it's in your favor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond to being called a hypocrite?
Thank you, Councilman Morgan. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, maybe if somebody had made the argument I just did, I would have reconsidered, Councilman Jones, but it wasn't made at the time. We do have an opportunity for debate and back and forth, and we hope that evidence will win the day in council. Not so much today. So there's been objections. We can have votes on this, but I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that's involved here what's occurring and why it's being rushed through at this moment is because of the popularity of one side of the issue, and people don't want to feel that weight or pressure. And look, to my colleagues, this is a can of worms that just got opened, and you have an opportunity to reverse that and close it in 3 weeks if you want to reconsider it. We're going to be back in session soon. And Councilman Jones has an ordinance that he's committed to moving forward with. Our chambers are going to be full when we're back in session. This is going to be loud and noisy, and we're going to be dealing with cats and dogs for maybe more than half the year, unless we reconsider this item and deal with it properly in 3 weeks. This is going to drag out. There are going to be more emails. There are going to be more calls, and our chambers will be full. And we're not going to be able to focus on the budget like we want to. We're not going to be able to focus on homelessness like we want to. We're not going to be able to focus on solid waste like we want to. Not doing it now and leaving yourself the opportunity to reconsider in 3 weeks is honestly the window and the opportunity to avoid that. So that's why I say just pause, take a deep breath. There are some real reasons to reconsider this on top of the merits of the case.
Councilman Warren.
It really seemed to me that this revelation of tickets and, all the other stuff that came up here at the end, something's weird. I don't know what it is, but something's weird. I was in a position, that sounded strange to me. That all of a sudden, right before we're getting ready to vote on this thing, somebody's getting all these tickets. I think there's a lot more here that we may need to hear about. And, Councilman Morgan and I seldom agree on many things, but, on this one, I think it's reasonable for us to, wait and give it a little time and let's see some exploration because, as Councilman Smiley said, he was ready to vote the other way, and then these tickets came up, and all of a sudden you had that, and it just seemed like emotional strings were being pulled. So, whoever's wanting to move it forward with same-night minutes, I would appreciate us being able to wait and let's find out what's going on because it did seem sort of strange to me and didn't necessarily pass my sniff test. Did we do something wrong? And I want to know about it. Is there something else going on that triggered this that, helped get this through? I don't know. But it seems strange to me, and I would just like to have the time to figure it out. So I'll be voting against same-night minutes, but it's because something seems strange. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Dr. Warren.
Thank you very much, Dr. Warren. Councilman Carlisle.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate Dr. Warren's even-keeled temperament. It has allowed me to take a deep breath. And we have rules of decorum, so I'll try and be very tempered here. Let's not go tossing the term hypocrite around. I saw a lot of things that went down that are in direct contrast to how council members have operated in the past and their prior comments. And so let's be careful. We have a way that we do things where someone speaks and they got to wait 6 turns. But I'm happy to step in front of a camera and a couple microphones if there's somebody that wants to go point counterpoint in an open format any day of the week, especially on certain issues. I'm very happy to do that. But let's be very careful before we start calling somebody hypocrite, unless we're willing to really get in the ring and go for it on a real debate. With that, I agree with Dr. Warren. I agree with Councilman Morgan. I think there's no reason that we can't wait and allow some time to reflect on this. And I appreciate a rescission of the same night minutes motion, but if not, I'll be voting against it. That I yield back.
Thank you very much, Councilman Carlisle. Councilor Logan.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say that regardless of how I vote on this issue of same night minutes, it has nothing to do with me being afraid of constituents voicing their concerns. My constituents elected me because they trust me, and nothing anyone here says is going to break that trust. And I would hope that when we make a decision, when we make a vote, that we're respected for that by our colleagues, and it's our decision. Whether we're flooded with comments, that's neither here nor there as it relates to our vote. We should listen to our constituents, and we should respect each other. I didn't say that to you, Councilman Morgan, when you were the only one who didn't vote for the grants. And Lord knows there was going to be a backlash about the grants. So let's not bully, because I felt bullied by your comment. So let's not disrespect our colleagues by saying what may happen or may not happen, because it hasn't happened yet. Our vote today should be respected as just that. And I'm sure all of us can speak to our constituents, share our explanation and reason why in a manner that our constituents will respect, or we can agree to disagree, because there are going to be many other votes. But how we vote here, this should be our safe place to vote without one of us bullying the other. And so with that, if I decide to vote one way or the other and it doesn't suit you, it's not because I'm afraid of any backlash. That's what I was elected for. And I take that with pride and with prayer, and hopefully my constituents would understand that. And with that, I yield back.
Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, I would advise that you not discount form emails when it doesn't play into your agenda. We all received a lot of form emails on the Byhalia pipeline, which we stood against 13-0 today. And on every hot button issue that we address, we get form emails. So I would ask you that you not discount them. They are still from your constituents. Whether they wrote them or not, you should listen to your constituents. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, before we vote, I'd like to ask one last thought. Look, Robert's Rules of Order, same night minutes, suspending the rules. I've been on the winning side, I've been on the losing side. One of my acid tests for same night minutes is give me a reason that the city of Memphis needs this yesterday. Usually it's got a fiscal note or there's something to it. We need to go ahead and get the paperwork going, the lawyers, whatever. That's where I would think that this does not quite pass that test. But again, I leave it to my colleagues. We've gone round and round about this. Everybody's getting kind of hot. So let's call a vote. This is on the same night minutes. A yes vote moves this to same night minutes. A no vote obviously is no same night minutes. It was moved by Smiley, seconded by Jones. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale?
No.
Carlisle?
No.
Easter Thomas?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Logan?
Abstain.
Morgan?
No.
Robinson?
Aye.
Smiley?
You got it.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen?
Aye.
Warren?
No.
Chairman Colvett?
I'm a no. Just let's make double check sure. I have yeses at 6. Is that correct?
Correct.
I have 7. I have 7 yeses.
7 yeses. How many noes?
5
no, and 1 abstention.
All right, so it passes. It'll be on our list the same night minutes. Staff, let's go ahead and count for it. All right, let's call, Madam Comptroller, call 31.
Item number 31 is an ordinance to amend City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 33, Division 4, to modify Section 33-65 related to the sewer extension fee. Up for third and final reading, ordinance number 5779 is sponsored by the Public Works Division. This was held from March 2nd.
Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, the committee may recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
Second.
Second, Robinson.
Moved by Councilman Smiley, second by Councilwoman Robinson. Seeing no members in the queue.
No,
The
Councilwoman
live
Logan.
stream is having technical difficulties. Staff, are you aware of this? All right, let's go ahead and proceed, though. I've got a motion by Smiley, second by Robinson. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 31. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford, Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colbert.
Aye, item passes. Item 32.
Number 32 is the approval of an economic impact plan for the Downtown Mobility Authority and otherwise providing with respect to the foregoing. This approval is sponsored by the administration. It was held from March 2nd.
Councilman Ford.
Committee met, recommend approval, and I so move.
Second. Moved by Councilman Ford, seconded by Councilman Canali. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 32. Madam Comptroller, call.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colbert.
Aye, that item passes. Call item 33.
Item number 33 is a resolution approving the sale of a city-owned property known as 1055 North Evergreen Street in Memphis, Tennessee, 38107. The parcel ID is 0400410008. This resolution is sponsored by the General Services Division.
Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, committee may recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
Can we get a second?
Second,
I got a
Carlisle.
Moved by Councilman Smiley, seconded by Councilman Carlisle. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 33. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
I was talking to myself. Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Aye, that passes. Call the next item.
That will take us to item number 34, a resolution amending the Memphis City Council Community Grant Program for FY 2022. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Jones and Councilman Smiley. It was held from March 2nd.
Councilman Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee met, recommends approval, and I so move. And I have one question.
Second.
I can go ahead and jump in the queue.
All right, moved by Morgan, seconded by Robinson. Councilman Morgan, you recognize.
Just to clarify, because it's not laid out in language, is the intent of this to be exactly similar to what we did last year, in the sense of we would put out this process, nonprofits will apply, there'll be a committee of staff and myself and whoever wishes to that will cull through the documents, and whoever puts in the proper information, the 990s, the budgets, whatever is needed, then we'll get an eligible list. Like last year, council members will pick, 3 to 8 from that list, maybe more, 10, that they would like to hear from. Those that are selected by council members will then present, and then we'll allocate money to those that have presented. Is that the intent, that it will be like last year's, or are we going to hear from everybody that's eligible and then we'll allocate money? Because once we go through this vote, staff and I are going to have to put it together and get it out to clearly communicate it to the nonprofits as soon as possible. So I just want to make sure we're pretty firm on what the process is intended to be.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As maker of the motion, I'm open to the will of the body. It is not specified that we do it one way or the other. It's just open to whatever the will of the body is.
Councilman Morgan, your thoughts?
I think last year was a pretty good hybrid that worked. Of the eligible, we will then put that list to council members. And of the people on the list, they can pick the ones that they're interested in hearing from. And just because someone is selected and we hear from them doesn't necessarily mean that they are allocated funds. But it's a way, I have no idea how many people will apply. And so it's a way to cull it down without us spending 20 hours on grant presentations and then 10 hours on the rest of the budget. It gives us an opportunity to limit it on the front side. I think honestly, after doing this for several years, we're pretty familiar with a number of the nonprofits that are applying. And if there are any new ones that council members are particularly interested or want to hear from, we can bring them forward.
Councilman Jones, do you have a problem with that?
Well, I would ask that we approve this as is, and we can have an amendment, just adopt some rules to accompany this particular resolution, as opposed to having the discussion tonight.
Pass it, and then you got 3 weeks to add something to it when we read the minutes.
Yep.
Your thoughts on that, Morgan?
Yeah, the resolution has the period being open from April 1st to 30th in terms of when nonprofits can apply. And so I guess we can go ahead and get the information to them and still have them apply, but how they're screened or selected after that doesn't have to be decided tonight. So I think that's okay. I think we can go ahead and get it to nonprofits and start getting them in. But at our next meeting in April, we really need to hammer it down and finalize it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Got 3 weeks. All right. Seeing no other members in the queue seeking recognition, moved by Morgan, seconded by Robinson. Assume you're ready to vote on item 34. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali?
Yes.
Carlisle?
No.
Easter Thomas? Ford?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Logan?
Aye.
Morgan?
No.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Yes. Item passes. Call item 5.
Item number 35 is a resolution requesting the HR department to increase its screening protocols for all public safety officials. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Smiley.
Councilman Warren?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved by Warren, seconded by Smiley. Seeing no members in the queue, assume you're ready to vote on item 35. Madam Comptroller, call a roll.
Councilmember Canali?
Yes.
Councilmember Canali?
Yes.
Thank you. Carlisle?
Aye.
Easter Thomas? Ford?
Aye.
Johnson?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Logan?
Aye.
Morgan? Robinson?
Aye.
Smiley? Vice Chairwoman Swearingen?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Aye, that item passes. Staff, am I correct that we're through our agenda?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Outstanding, thank you. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, have you reviewed our same night minutes?
I have indeed, Mr. Chair. The same night minutes items are 13, 14, 15, 16, 36, 37, 38, and 41, and I so move.
Second. Let me double check something. Item 40 also same night minutes, correct?
They share with me to take that off the list.
We did.
Item 29.
There was one more. 29 was added.
That's correct. We have
29 is added. Hold on.
They just added that during the pet ordinance discussion. 29 was included as same night minutes.
Okay,
Yes,
and 40
is not same night minutes. Yeah, 40 is not same night minutes, 29 is. It's been moved by 40. Can I get a second?
Second.
Jones, second. And moved and properly second. Vote on same night minutes. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali?
Yes.
Carlisle?
Abstain.
Easter abstained? Easter Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ford?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Logan?
Aye.
Morgan?
Yes.
Robinson?
Aye.
Smiley?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Chairman Colvett.
Abstain. Same night minutes passes. Vice Lady Swearingen, it's your time to shine, my friend. We got some cards and letters.
We eagerly
Everybody's leaning back. Everybody's ready. They're just anticipating the fun that is letters to the council.
All right, now, the first comment is from Reverend Centria.
Yeah, they may have a protocol, but yeah, I can tell them that I'm your doctor.
Dr. Moore, mute, Dr. Moore.
Warren, there you go. Thank you.
Uh-oh. Is it my time, Chairman?
It's time to shine.
Okay. Reverend Centria Jimerson, 2005 Argoso Drive. She's the first comment. MICA, Memphis Interfaith Coalition of Action and Hope, is committed to holding our community's elected and appointed leaders accountable, expecting them to serve in a way that acts in a best interest of the residents of this community, while maintaining transparency and integrity at every level. The process of hiring a new police director should be transparent to the community that the director will serve and include the community's input. That input was painstakingly gathered in 2020 through the Advisory Commission of the Reimagining Policing, ACRP, that the mayor convened. We not see a critical time as the mayor to incorporate the insight of the report and heed the advice of his community and advisory committee. We want to see the report and communities call for specifically clear challenges and changes in policy in Memphis shape the MPD's director search. We further stand and support the MICA Youth Council call for the youth involvement in the search and panels, particularly 2 youth for the MICA have requested, and they requested it in October 2020. We call for the following transparency for the city admission and the MPD police director process. What criteria was the International Association of Chiefs of Police by the city, IACP, who was involved in establishing the criteria given to the IACP? And what ways do the professional experiences of the 7 finalists align with the criteria with the city gave the IACP? Who is the mayor selected and requesting and meet with him to further discussion and involvement of the search? We asked and replied by December 14th, 2020, but did not receive any meeting invitation. On January 10th, 2021, we sent an email to the ICACP and only received an automated reply. On January 18th, 2021, received an email from City HR Director Alex Smith stating that the city was considering adding the youth component to the search. On January 22nd, 2021, Mayor Strickland, he publicly stated that having youth panel be a part of the search process was under consideration, but not credit us for the idea. We are disappointed. And both the lack of response from the city leaders on the efforts of the engaged and processed and selected the next director of police and their unwillingness to be credited where credit is due. We demand to be included in this process. Youth are governed by the law, and same as adults. Whoever enforces the law and the culture of the enforcement impacts everyone who is under the law. Many youth who work and are under representation, despite being taxed, this is taxation without representation. The choices made by the director of police affected all youth in Memphis. Youth are often the victims of police brutality and violence. Youth must have a say-so in who the director of the police is, and we are the ones who will end up back in the cup cards. As group, we demand our next police director be fair, hardworking, and be willing to change the policing system to support all the Memphians, not just those with money. We are looking for a candidate who is willing to challenge the status quo and to insist ruled by political special interests. We need our new director to have the best interests of Memphis communities in mind, all races, ethnicities, all genders, all zip codes, and all ages. We need someone who is willing to try new things to put an end to the new issues surrounding policing. And most of all, we need a police director who will work in a way to eventually make themselves unnecessary. Our questions for the city council regarding the candidates as well as the process are, how will the youth voices be included in the hiring process of the director of police? Will Mayor Strickland, Chief Smith, or others setting up the panels agree to give the youth MICA youth council members seats on the panel since we are both created? This is an idea of youth input in the search and followed by consistently since then. Item number 2. Carolina Calvo, 8665 Wrong Tree Flowers. We're writing to City Council as the members of the Youth City of MICA, Memphis Interfaith Coalition for Action and Hope, to demand that the city include youth as a part of the panel interviews of the candidates for the new director of the police and for the MICA Youth Council that seats 2 panels. We requested it earlier and the response from the Mayor Strickland has not been rescinded. Below is a timeline of our attempts to engage in the search process. We first seek out Mayor Strickland on October 7th, 2020, requesting that our 2 new members be included in the search process. We requested a response from Mayor Strickland on October 25th, 2020. On December 4th, 2020, Mayor Strickland replied that MICA Youth, our council members, was stating that the internal association of the police was conducting an executive search was on their behalf, and advised the youth council contacted the association on December 8th, 2020. We replied to Mayor Strickland and have not received any additional response. We received public comments from the following topics: pet sales, pipeline, pilot incentives, and MPD director searches. The numerical breakdown organized by the topic, total comment count, and position is as follows. Items 29, which represents proposed ordinance 5777, pet sales, received the following comments. Total comments, 5. Supporting comments for the proposed ordinance 5777 is 5. Opposition comments for proposed ordinance 5777 is 0. Item number 37, which represents the proposed substitute resolution opposition for the Bahia connection pipeline, received the following comments. Total comments, 213. Supporting comments for the proposed substitute resolution pipeline is 213. Opposition, 0. General comments, no assigned regular. For the pilot, the total comment was 1. Comments for the MPD director search, total comments 2. Finally, as a reminder, each of the comments accounted for above have been sent to and received by each member of the Memphis City Council. This concludes the comments for today, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Chair Lady. Colleagues, one other thing, remember we have a joint city-county meeting on EDGE pilots and all that good stuff coming up next week. And you have been requested to get your questions in to staff so we can start trying to kind of get all that in order. That being said, that brings us to the end of our meeting agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to
Second, move to second.
Moved by Smiley, seconded by Warren. Stand in recess.
Good night, everybody.